So Fred, we usually take comments at the end, so you'll stay with us the whole meeting? Is that the plan?
Sure.
Okay. Because it's going to be hard for us we'll ask for you to give a report, and then otherwise we can take questions at the end. So thank you,
Absolutely.
everybody, for joining us. And let me remind all my board members and department heads to please mute your microphone. So Fred, Teresa, can we mute Fred's microphone, please?
Sure.
Just want to welcome everybody to the December 7th meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Port Jefferson, year 2020. It is 7 p.m. We are live on our YouTube channel to conduct business. And the first order of business, as we have been doing with our Zoom mandated meetings from the governor's office, is we start with a guest who is going to sing the Star Spangled Banner for us, the national anthem. So with that, Teresa, we'll segue into our special guest appearance. We might know this person.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, they proved through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? The land of the free and the home of the
You know that person. Nicely done, Denise.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yankee
Awesome.
Stadium, bring it on.
I heard you practicing the other day. Was that must have been you? You were recording in Kevin's studio?
Yes.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank
Thank you for participating and being brave enough to share with us. It was awesome. So moving on to our agenda, we do have Chief Lute here, our chief of our local constabulary. Chief, we usually open up questions from the public so they can ask questions about public safety. I'm not sure we have participants ready. We'll usually take the questions at the end, but do you have anything you'd like to report to us very quickly? You'd have to unmic your microphone. Teresa, help them out if you can. Teresa, hello.
I did. It should have prompted him. Sorry.
Yeah, I think can you do it for him?
Nope, I got it.
Okay, great. Hey, Chief, how are you?
I'm great tonight. How are you? That was excellent. Good job, Denise.
Mm-hmm.
Impressed. Just a couple of real quick things. We're headed into the wet and icy season. We want to make sure that with the leaves at the edge of the roadways, sometimes holding ice well into the mornings, just to drive safely. Watch for our children, bus stops, walking to and from school with the sun going down really early. And we're getting a good response on our speed trailer. It's been deployed for several weeks, several locations. We've observed the locations for a period of time at each setup, finding that it's very successful. It appears that people are just caught up in their day, so they're going a little bit too fast. As soon as they see the warning lights, they slow way down and they comply with the speed limit, which is really what we wanted to have this take effect. So very, very good effect so far. We're getting emails and calls all the time here. Rita's getting them during the day here. So really good. One more thing real quick, Mayor. Holiday Gifts
Sure.
Online. mean we're going to have a lot of gifts deposited on doorsteps. With that, we have an increase in theft of these packages, and that happens nationwide. So we want to be aware of our homes, and we want to keep an eye on our neighbors' homes as well. If you see someone suspicious, call code right away, call Suffolk PD as well, and we'll have a quick response for you.
Thank you, Chief. We actually do have a
welcome.
representative from Suffolk with us this evening. I'm not sure who we have here. If they could unmute and hi, how you doing?
How you doing?
Good, good, good.
Oh, it's
So-
John. Hey, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, John, do you have a report that you'd like to give to us? Or I appreciate Chief's warning about packages and things of that nature. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Hold it.
Absolutely.
John, what is your name?
Uh,
John.
it's Officer John Epstethew.
Spell your last name?
Oh boy.
I know.
Hey,
You're that one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. It's E as in Echo, F as in S as in Sam, T as in Tom, A as in Alpha, T as in Tom, H as in Hotel, IOU. And my first name is John
FCCO.
Epstethew.
Nice Italian boy. Go ahead.
All right, guys. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me again. I don't have a lot for Port Jeff Village for this month period. We did November 2nd to December 7th, 2019 compared to 2020. So in 2019, for that month period, we had 350 calls for service compared to this time period at 286. Aggravated harassment, assaults were all 0 for both time periods. We had one burglary. You might have heard of it. It was over on East Main Street. I think the name of the business was called, I don't have the name of the business. I might have it.
John, it was Pattern Finders.
I believe it was Pattern Finders.
Yes.
And this burglary is part of a pattern. For the month of November, we saw 12 burglaries, 11 commercial and 1 residential. So the 6th precinct has been getting hit very hard with burglaries during this time. Let's move on a little bit. We have criminal mischiefs. We had none for both time periods. Grand larcenies, we went up from 2 to 3. I could tell you one of those was a laptop from an unlocked vehicle in a parking lot up by 105 Main Street. And also the other 2 were scams. We're seeing a lot of scams, people sending money. For one of these, somebody actually posed as a police officer and called someone, said that their nephew, that their grandson is in jail and needed to send some bail money. The person actually went and removed cash from the bank and FedExed the money, FedExed the cash. So, which we were talking about $8,500.
Wow.
wow.
North Carolina. Yeah. So people need to be aware of this. People will be calling for scams. We've seen a lot of this going on with computers. I was looking at, I have another meeting after this, and I was looking at a scam that occurred in Medford. And this one was, they just called to tell them that their computer was, the virus protection was expired and they needed to gain access to their computer and take care of it. And they allowed him to do that. And in that, he needed to pay a small fee, gave them access to his accounts, and they ended up taking a better amount of money than what he was supposed to. All right, so let's move on from there. We went to harassments. We had 6 last time period to 3 for this one. 2 of them were at the Long Island Railroad. They were actually small physical altercations between 2 parties. And the other one was at Mather Hospital with a staff member there who wasn't allowing someone to gain entry due to the COVID rules and protocols. Let's see, pettit larcenies. We had 3 last time period and we went up to 10 for this time period. And all of those are still under investigation. But the pettit larcenies is interesting as well. We had 4 of them take place at St. Charles Hospital in the parking lot. Somebody had been cutting out catalytic converters from vehicles.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a metal within that catalytic converter that's valuable. So they will take those and bring them to I guess like PK Metals and get some money for it. So, so 4 of those were there, and it stinks for the people that this happened to. They're in there working. They come out, they start their car, and their car doesn't sound like how it did when they pulled in there. So, and that's how they're realizing this. Let's see, what else do we have here? So we had total criminal incidents. We went from 11 from the last time period to 17 for this time period. So not a big increase there. Let's see, 80 cases, our medical calls. We went from 77 to 74. Our overdoses was 1 for last time period, and we had 1 for this one as well. We have seen increase in overdoses. Most recently, we do have more for the month of November than what we did last year. But what we have noticed is that we had less fatalities, but we still have an increase in the overdoses. Let's see, disturbance calls, we went from 72 and we came down to 46. So we had a decrease in our total non-criminal incidents. We went from 321 and we came down to 257. Motor vehicle accidents, we saw a slight decrease there. We went from 21 to 14. There were no fatal motor vehicle accidents for both time periods. And we saw a slight drop in summonses. We went from 154 to 143. And the number of arrests appear to be the same. We had 3 and 3. Does anybody have any questions regarding any of those statistics or data that I've just read off?
Yeah, so John, a question from Trustee Cassay. Rebecca?
Sure.
Officer John, thank you so much for being here, all the hard work that you do. I have 2 questions. One is concerning the catalytic converters. I know that this is a nationwide issue. We have different kinds of vehicles, and I've heard this in different groups that I'm a part of. Is Suffolk PD working with those metal shops that might be receiving the stolen catalytic converters that should be checking ID or things like this to help crack down?
Yes, we do. We're very familiar with all the metal shops, Gershow, PK Metals. But I don't know if metal is being passed through and not being identified. Maybe these catalytic converters are being broken down and some of the metals being passed off. So I don't know exactly, but we are in contact with them, and they definitely help us out when they can with those. We've had a lot of incidents with metal that we stay close contact. So yeah, we do communicate with them often.
Great, I appreciate that. I imagine there's no advice for residents in that regard. I know some people go crazy and build a cage around the catalytic converter, but that's a experience.
I don't. With the way, the updating tool, all new tools and whatnot, high-powered, battery-powered saws is how they do this. They use, sawzalls, battery-powered sawzalls that are very strong, and they can cut these things out in a matter of seconds, probably, out from underneath your vehicle. So I think the best advice for anyone would be just if you hear anything that sounds like metal being cut in the middle of the night, then get outside and try to take a look. But that person, you'll look around and that person would be under a vehicle, so you wouldn't see anything. If he could see that people are looking, he would probably stop. But it's very quick. It's a very quick underneath the car, cut it out and get out. So
thank you so much. And my second question is, people who believe that they're being scammed via phone, email, what is your advice for them as far as, should they call the non-emergency number? Should they forward things on to which sector of the agency?
I think they should call 911 right away, because it's something that needs immediate attention. A lot of people, they're on the phone with the scammers, or on a computer with the scammers, and the scammer is just working hard to convince them to do what they want. So sometimes it takes maybe somebody else and give their input as far as, hey, let's backtrack a little. Let's, a lot of this is your grandson has been arrested. Sometimes they don't even try to contact the grandson. They don't even think that far ahead. Sometimes they're so wrapped up in what's going on that just somebody telling them, hey, let's call the grandson and see if he's all right, or let's call his parents and see if he's all right. So I would say call 911 immediately, get somebody to the house. So this way we could have another set of eyes and ears and maybe get some ideas as to what we could do here and see if we can't locate the people. Because I've done it. It's happened to me. It's happened to me where I've been called to someone's house and they were just about to send the money and they just had a second thought. They called 911. I came over and I said, well, did you call your grandson? And they were like, oh my God, I didn't even try to call them. I said, well, let's call them. We couldn't get them on the phone, but we ended up getting the dad on the phone, and the dad was able to make contact with his son, minutes later, and the whole thing was over with. So definitely call 911.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for that advice, and thank you again for everything.
Sure, thanks.
Any other questions from any board members or staff? All right. Thank you, John, for attending. Happy holidays to you. Please stay
Thank
safe
you.
out in the
Thanks.
field.
Can I just say another thing, please? Really?
Of course.
Three things. Tomorrow is our 6th precinct community meeting. It's going to be at the Selden Firehouse at 10 a.m. We're limiting the capacity, so please try to get there early. We're checking temperatures and doing all that, but if you haven't been, it's a great forum to come and find out and get some information about what's happening throughout the precinct. For updates, if you haven't already, Nixle, you could text your zip code to 888-777. The county will send you updates, and we will send you event updates on what we're doing within the precinct. And the county is having the listening session on the 9th, and you could sign up for that. It's the police reform task force, and they will be having this listening session on Wednesday, December 9th. You can go to suffolkcountyny.gov and follow some of the links there that say task force or police reform to register. You have to register before 3 p.m. All right, if you want to speak. So I just wanted to get those messages out to everybody.
And thank you, John. Any questions? Any further announcements?
That's all I have.
Thank you very much. And please thank Inspector Riley
Sure.
on my behalf and behalf of the Village of Port Jefferson. Fred, you
will.
good? Chief Luke,
Yeah,
you good?
you have a great holiday, John.
Thanks. Yeah, happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care. Good
Okay,
night.
so good night. So Chief, if you could mute your microphone again, that'd be
Sure.
great. Thank you. Less feedback. And we're going to move on to the agenda then with the first order of business to approve our minutes from the November 16th meeting. In review, are there any proposed changes or corrections to the minutes as presented by Clerk Sakovich? Everybody good with those? Okay, next order of business, Clerk Sakovich is asking for us to approve the board meeting schedule, which was attached. We had a couple meetings that are postponed to Tuesdays because the Monday's a national holiday, more or less impacting, I think, largely the second meetings of the month. So once we approve them, hopefully then Teresa and our social media people can get them up, posted onto the global calendar for us for the year 2021. Can't come soon enough, right? Brian McCaffrey, our consultant for our storm water management, is looking to compile the annual report for the DEC reporting purposes. And this is also now for the landfill at the country club. We also have a DEC permit there, and we're required to put in a report annually. So I'm sorry, Barbara, this is a McCaffrey Senior, is that correct?
Correct.
And does he usually use White Birch Consulting, or is he using his name now individually?
Last year he used this as well, and it was the same
Okay.
price last year.
Okay, great, thank you. And if in the minutes we could add a senior to that, because
I
there
will.
is another, Thank you so much. Folks, we worked through the summer. We usually took, in the past, we've taken the second meeting in August off to enjoy the summer. We did not do that this year. We worked right through the COVID period. I am suggesting that we not convene for the December 21st meeting. That's the week of the holiday. We may have to do a short meeting to approve warrants, but at this point in time, I'm offering you a holiday gift and postponing the second meeting for the month of December. Does anybody want to comment on that? And I'm just getting word that I missed a comment. All comments for the will be taken at the end of the session. There's a comment for Suffolk County, and we'll collect that comment and pass it on to Suffolk for a response. It's hard to run the meeting and manage the comments. Number 6, I'm sorry, I'm on number 5. We have a village hazard communication policy that was put together by Administrator Palumbo with input from Attorney Egan. Any comments on that policy as it's required to be in place with the concern of handling and disposing of hazardous materials at our various facilities? Any questions or comments?
Trustee Casse here. I think it looks great. I attended the training and they had mentioned the need for this policy and outlined all of the requirements, and reading through it, I think it was very well put together. Thank you both.
Great, thank you, Rebecca. We have an intermunicipal agreement. We have a couple this evening. This one is concerns the sand dredging from the throat of Mount Sinai Harbor, and with the deposit of all of that sand now to our East Beach, both on the east and west side. Initially, we were not going to be the recipients of all the sand. At the request of the town of Brookhaven, they asked for us to make a contribution to the soft costs, I believe, Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong, in the amount of $12,000 in exchange for receiving all of the sand deposits. Brian, is that correct?
Correct, Mayor. This is just to finalize the engineering costs, 1/2 of the engineering costs.
Definitely a best buy.
Yes, small
Yeah.
price to pay for 80,000 cubic yards of beautiful sand coming back to our beaches. Very, very happy with this end result. Long time coming, but we're extremely pleased with this. So thank you, Brian, for your work on that. Number 7 also includes an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Brookhaven. We had a shortage of staff this past week, and it came at a bad time where we were waiting for some inspections, important inspections from our fire marshal. So we have pretty much a cross agreement, Brian, to be able to interchange our fire marshals when necessary.
That's exactly right, Mayor. Number 7 and number 8 are together. Number 7, as you stated, was just to our ability to use the fire marshal services if in the event we're either short-handed or short-scheduled, or we've got a pressing need that needs the town fire marshal to step in for us. And number 8, I'm sorry, Mayor, just to jump ahead on number 8, it's combined with that, is just to cross-designate them as the fire marshals, as the village fire marshals under Code Section 139-04.
Thank you. Any questions with respect to 7 or 8? Very necessary, particularly in the event of an emergency and/or we have a restaurant that's trying to relocate downtown. They needed a fire marshal inspection. The Lobster House is scheduled to reopen down in Port Jeff on Wednesday, I believe. So we need to all support James at the Lobster House.
Question about this?
Sure.
So when you say they're cross-designated, does this mean that when we bring on a fire marshal, if Brookhaven is in need of an appointment, our fire marshals can also work for them at cost?
That's correct. Right, Brian?
That probably would never really realistically occur because we're so small and they're so big, but they have to be, the town fire marshal has to be cross-designated as a fire marshal for us, for our purposes, because they have no jurisdiction inside the village without the Board of Trustees approval.
Correct. No, I just was wondering, sort of you answered the implied question of the realism of that, but if our fire marshal was in the instance that he or she was sitting around and had nothing to do and Brookhaven needed somebody, could Port Jeff sort of send them over at cost? And the answer is yes, but probably won't happen.
The answer is, well, the town didn't ask for it and it's not provided in the agreement, just because I think it's probably pretty rare that they would need our staff.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
So basically, then they're just designated here as fire marshals to work within the village. There's no, when you say cross designation, it doesn't go two ways, as Rebecca had asked.
No. Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, if there's any confusion on that, no, it's they're being cross-designated as a town fire marshal and as a village fire marshal.
Oh, okay. So I would say dual designation then. It crosses a little.
Dual,
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm good. So long as it gets us the help we need, I'm good. We have an appointee to the Country Club Management Advisory Committee. This is a committee that advises the Board of Trustees on the management of the country club and the facilities. Mr. Garland has been working closely with our superintendent and director of country club affairs on implementation of new software. He's a member of the golf course, and he and his wife are avid golfers. I'm very pleased with this appointment. I think Todd has a really good grasp on the situation as it exists up at the country club, and I'm pleased to see him fill a chair that is being now opened up by the retirement of Don McKenzie as he and his wife Diane relocate out of town. Stan, did you want to add anything? Just have to unmute for us to hear you, hon.
Yeah, I just want to welcome Todd and thank Don very much. Don has been a very valuable participant on the CCMAC, and he will be moving. He's going to be living on a sailboat, so sail away, Don.
I like that crisscross song or something. Okay, we have a few requests here from some of our not-for-profit partners, a room reduction fee from the typical $750 to $400 for the Knights of Columbus and Infant Jesus, obviously, to use our room at the Village Center, August 16th, 2021. I believe this is the, where they're going to come down after the golf outing and have their lunch. Is that correct, Stan?
Yes, the outing and then down to the Village Center to use the downstairs and the outside patio.
Okay. And then we have Kevin, our parking administrator, actually with our support went to Allentown, Pennsylvania to study the parking system they have there. A very good visit, I understand. Kathy Ann, did he report to you on that or?
No,
You
I
guys had
haven't
a
got an
meeting yet?
update on that yet.
Okay.
I have not.
And you said it had a very important, and it gave him a lot of feedback. He'll
I
bring
heard it
all
was-
those.
I heard it was very productive, but I didn't get the
Right.
details yet. Yeah.
Right. So, Barbara, can you please ask Kevin to have, prepare a report for us and make sure Kathy Ann and the parking committee get a report on his visit. We had a work change order from Suffolk Paving, a little over $6,400. So, as you get into the roadways and they see the actual conditions in the road, this change order, as you saw from the request, was pretty much for Fairway Drive and High Street. And in particular, where those roads sort of either meet their end. For Fairway Drive, it was at the intersection of Nonawantuck Lane. At the end of the village, a lot of patchwork had to be done there. And also for High Street, at the top of Prospect, that intersection there needed some additional work. So very happy to do it. I think the roads turned out fantastic this project. So I'm very happy with the road conditions. The Explorium, Long Island Explorium, has reached out for us to extend the rent reduction through April of 2021. As most of you know, not only are obviously our merchants and retailers suffering, but our not-for-profit partners are having a very difficult time not being able to open their doors or do the typical fundraising. If you go to portjefferson.com/portjeffcares, you'll see there's an opportunity if you want to help any of those not-for-profits. Long Island Explorium is there to make a donation in the name of a loved one this year to help us keep our partners up and running. Number 14 is important. We had received a grant from, I think it's a FEMA grant, and it's for flood and flood.
Climate resilience.
Thank you. Climate resilience. Thank you, Barbara. But particularly to study the flooding and coastal resiliency. There you go. It's an 82,000 and change grant. We're going to have this conservation advisory committee, Rebecca, and a subcommittee working directly with myself, the administrator, and we need for a request for a proposal to be drafted. We have Campaigning and Schwarting, who wrote the grant and have been doing this study for the village, looking to do to start us off, to get us going. Denise, I would like this money reserved and taken from the capital account for the beaches. We put $100,000 every year aside for coastline and beach issues. I think this money would be well spent to get this project going. It's a kind of a use it or lose it before a certain date. And that's something that is going to have impact on us no matter how hard we try and prevent that. We have our grant writer, which is the next item, number 15, to extend her contract through May 31st, not to exceed 20 hours per month at a cost of $125 per hour. Danielle continues to seek granting opportunities for us, managed grants with Joe Palumbo. And we've told her to, really, considering our budget, make sure she's taking priority on the grants that she's working on. So are there any questions on 1 through 15 from the board? We have our warrants. Thank you, Denise and Deputy Treasurer Ferrante, for getting the warrants to us in a timely manner. I like the numbers here. This is a good bi-weekly period, right?
Yes.
And I did not see anything unusual that stood out to me in the warrants. Are there any questions from the board members? And we have our sign off from Dave Carlson, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve 1 through 16 as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Trustee Laux. All in favor? Thank you. I'll go real quick, guys. I commented or gave a report on the sand dredging project. East Beach will be closed probably, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, through the end of January. Is that correct?
Well, right now they're projected through the end of this month. They expect possibly an extension of a week or two, weather permitting. So I would say, to be on a safe side, probably by the middle of January, the project should be done, if not sooner.
Okay. So unfortunately, we did have to close the beach. The way they are, East Beach, the way they are dredging the sand is they set up these large tubes that will be transporting the dredged sand and redepositing the material on both of the westerly side of East Beach in front of the retaining wall and to the easterly side. We expect a lot of sand to be poured. We do have a graphic I think we can share. We'll post it to the website. This is a wonderful replenishment project. We're very fortunate to get all of the sand back on our side of the pond, so to speak. In addition, we're getting some sand from Stony Brook Harbor. That permit was procured last year. Project was delayed. We're getting that sand this year, and that is all going to the west side of East Beach. So you come down to the hill, that's going to the west, and the Mount Sinai dredgings are going from the west side across the front and to the easterly side. So it's hopefully will help us. You might even have sand in front of the retaining wall. It'd be a beautiful thing to see. COVID updates, kids. I don't think I need to tell everybody the numbers are going in the wrong direction. We are having renewed phone calls now with Suffolk County's COVID task force and all of the superintendents and other mayors of villages. We're hoping that people stay the course, avoid getting into large gatherings. You know the drill. I don't have to go into it, but honestly, we need to be extra careful just so that we don't go into complete shutdown. We're hoping that our kids go back to school after the new year for full session, and we're hoping to keep our merchants and our restaurants, heads above water. So please just stay tuned. If there's any emergency types of announcements, they'll be posted on our website. Our LED lighting project is moving along. They're doing street by street. That progress report can be found up on the website. We have some light holiday fair. Festival of Trees is up on the second floor at Village Center. I know Stan will probably report on events within the village center, but we do have the Chamber of Commerce helping with Cookie Land inside for the kids at the village center. We will have a no-touch Santa down here on Saturday so the kids can come and sit and take a picture with Santa. We'll have a virtual tree lighting next Saturday out front of Village Hall. And we're bringing back the horse and carriage rides. They're all sold out. Everybody's desperately looking for a fun outdoor activity, and anything we can do to bring people down to the village in the light of this pandemic, it'd be very greatly appreciated. With that, I'm going to pass the torch to Deputy Mayor Laux. Give us some reports on some of the recreational items here in the village. Stan? Need to unmute, Stan?
How are we
There you
doing?
go.
We're okay?
There you go.
Okay, the ice skating has started down at the village center. Over the Thanksgiving weekend, we had over 600 skaters. Each session is limited to 50 skaters. So 600 skaters is a good weekend. At this time, all of the kayak racks have been cleared of vessels. I want to thank all the owners of the vessels for their cooperation. We have plans to renovate the racks at the East Beach as soon as we get to it, and to add additional spaces down at Crystal Brook. So the money that is charged for these permits is going to be put to good use. The lottery for the new spaces on our racks will take place the first week in March. So put that on your calendar. The farmer's market is now moved indoors. This was the first week for that. Margot mentioned the holiday tree display. It's presently on the second floor at the village center. It'll be there for the entire month of December. For the children at the village center, we have Santa's mailbox on the first floor. The little ones can write a letter to Santa, and they will surely get a response. From the country club, the club at the Waterview is going to remain open all winter. I know that many people out there don't realize it, but however, the club is open to the public. I think a trip up there is worthwhile. Tennis is closed for the season. We will reopen April 15th. The golf course is still open and will remain open until December 31st, if the weather permits. The membership office has started the process of mailing out membership renewal forms. All present members should be receiving these applications in the next couple of weeks. If you fail to receive one, just give our membership office a call or a visit down to the office. And lastly, I want to remind all members about your minimums. You've got to use all of your minimums by the end of this month. There will be no refunds or carryover of any of your balances. So be aware of that. Get down there and use your minimums. Thank you.
Trustee Laux? Good question.
Yes.
I had seen some discussions go by about kayaks at the Crystal Brook Hollow location. There's been probably over the years a few thefts from that location in particular. I imagine it's very difficult to put any kind of surveillance there, but is there any discussion about that or something, some effort to further secure those?
Well, we could talk to Kevin about putting camera surveillance in that area, because it is the most popular area we have for kayaking. And we've had requests to expand that area, which we may do in the spring if we have money left after we renovate the East Beach area. Yes, we probably should have some surveillance down there, and maybe there's a possibility we can get a camera up down there.
Very good, thank you.
Any other questions for Stan from the board? Okay, going to move on then to Mr. Miller.
Good evening. Just for a point of clarification to save us a little correction for next month, my report refers to the West Beach, We had a meeting there with Steve Seeley from Holzmacher and a representative from the DEC and Dave Melius, and it was a productive meeting. The person we dealt with was flexible, and we're drifting away from the 17 vertical feet of steel bulkheading. The current plan that they have, DEC has indicated will be acceptable is about a 5-foot wall. Part of that wall would rise above the level of the parking lot and thus divert any water coming down the hill towards the new wall. It'll be made out of concrete, and it will be a barrier for the water. Another part of the aspect is something I had suggested originally was cesspool rings between the parking lot, right adjacent to the parking lot on the sound side, and that they would then fill in after that. Some decorative masonry work was suggested by Steve Usili, along with some rocks on the sound side of the wall. Again, I had proposed that we put a 100-foot speed bump in front of the driveway coming down that would divert a lot of the water sideways and create less stress. When we were dealing with some more unreasonable proposals, I was looking for alternatives, and basically, as we've been talking about adding to the expanse of the beach, thinking in terms of possibly that we might see 300 feet of beach at that point, in which case the jurisdiction of the DEC would end. So just to see what the potential might be, Dave and I measured at high tide the distance between the washout and the high water mark there. So that about ends it for my report. Thank you.
And so just to clarify, Bruce, this is at the bottom of West Beach. You know, West Beach Hill, as you go to the West Beach, you know, the washout that we had there in the parking lot area. So
Correct.
not to confuse everybody with the work that's going on right now at East Beach. So thank you. Trustee Snaden?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, as liaison to Code and Public Safety, Chief Lute gave a nice update on our speed trailer and the things he's working on. And I want to again publicly thank our code department with all that's been going on. They've been doing a fabulous job. So thank you, Chief, to you and your staff. Your department's fantastic, and I commend all of the hard work. As liaison to the court in the village, they are continuing with in-person hearings, and it's going well. It's very limited capacity. We have our code officers there to keep everything in order, and that's going very well. With the Architectural Review Committee, an update from the last meeting, we're still working on the ferry building. We had a really nice report written up by one of our members, Rebecca's husband, Andrew, who's an architect, and he's been doing fantastic work, able to put all of our thoughts and ideas down on paper. We had our meeting with the architect on their side, and it's going very well, and they were open to all of our ideas, and together we came up with a lot of great ideas. We're working well with the planning department, so I'm very happy to see the progress being made there. As liaison to parking, the Barnum lot is still continuing. We're getting there. We have a few items left, including the stone wall on the north side. We are waiting for some material to be brought in to finish that. Lighting, steps, and the installation of the EV chargers that are going in there. And we should see that up and running very shortly. the gates are there and those are locked. Code is making sure that those are locked every night and keeping that parking lot secure. The Business Improvement District, we had our monthly meeting. There was the election of officers. All current officers are still in place moving forward into the next year. We're working on a television ad you'll be seeing coming up on News 12. It should be interesting to help with this small business, of course, the restaurants, the retail, to get us through this slower season. You know, not having Dickens this past weekend didn't help. So this is going to helpfully give us a push through. The Ice Festival won't be happening, but there are some, you know, some smaller events as the mayor had mentioned coming forth. So be on the lookout for that News 12 commercial. They are also going to help to contribute to some more decorations for the holidays. Further uptown, we'd like to see some more stuff up there. So they are going to contribute to those decorations. So that will be nice. And as liaison to the school district, as the mayor mentioned, they're working toward getting the kids back in school. The high school and middle school, all ICT students or the integrated co-teaching students will be back in starting tomorrow, 4 days a week. And as of January 11th, all of the rest of the students, if still on track, will be back as of January 11th, 4 days. They're still going to maintain Mondays as their asynchronous day for the deep cleaning. But back 4 days would be fantastic. And the elementary school remains 5 days as they did from the beginning. And that concludes my report for tonight.
Thanks, Kathy. And before I hand the microphone to Rebecca, Trustee Cassay, I just wanted to, I'm remiss in not thanking our Parks Department for doing the upstanding bang-up job of making this village light and bright and cheerful during the holiday season. They wrapped extra greens, they wrapped extra lights, and I think the village, several people have commented and stopped me at the grocery store and so on, saying they're really happy when they drive down the hill to see the village looking so beautifully decorated. So thank you to our team at the Parks and Rec, who also this year have been working nonstop despite our COVID pandemic. With that, I'll hand the microphone to Rebecca Cassay.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to my fellow trustees. It's really an honor to be working alongside you to help make this village the best it can be. For my report, we're going to start with the planning board as the liaison. I'm just going to report quickly on a couple of potential code change proposals that might be coming our way. There was discussion by the planning board members about a proposal to make a greater distinction between the C1 and the C2, which are our two commercial districts. C1 is Downport and C2 is Upperport. And they're looking at making a distinction between when the PILOP, which is the payment in lieu of parking, can be used and cannot be used with all of the apartments going in. Up in Upperport, they want to make sure that the code is not leaving a door open to there being a great lack of parking in allowing for the building of apartments with the developers to make these payments instead of providing parking for the new residents that are coming in. So the details will follow, but they're working on that. And then the other code distinctions they're looking at are changes or distinctions regarding the length and widths of parking spots and or parking modules is really what they're looking at as far as the parking spots themselves, and then the space in between parking spots, like the driveways between parking spots in parking lots. And I know Kevin Wood and I had a very nerdy conversation about this the other day when we passed each other in Village Hall. So you will hear more about that when those code changes come forth. If you have any more questions, please feel free to contact me or anyone on the planning board. Otherwise, we are excited to have, I'm excited to announce that the business that is going into the former Say Cheese, and they wanted to make the distinction that it's the front half of Say Cheese. The back half is not going to be utilized for this business. For Natural Hounds LLC was given the its approval by the planning board, so that is going to move forward. It is a all-natural human-grade dog food company, so we'll see them moving forward with turning that into their business and opening their doors. And so may we welcome them here into our business community, and may our pooches welcome them as well. The ferry building, as Trustee Snaden commented, the ARC did a really lovely job, and the planning board was very happy with those comments. And the planning board's looking forward to seeing what the architects come back with, and moving that again closer to their final approval for that. And then lastly, there was at 410 Thompson Street, which is east of Belterre Road there. There is a subdivision proposed, which is something that is actually has a lot of precedent in that neighborhood there because it's a very long lot. So that was all discussed. It was a lengthy and informative meeting. Moving on to the CAC, the Conservation Advisory Committee, we met and had a detailed discussion looking at the tree clearing code and possibly proposing amendments to that. There's a consensus that there are loopholes in the tree clearing code. And as I will quote someone here in the village when they say, once the trees are cut down, you cannot glue them back together. And so in an effort to make sure that there's fairness balancing the needs of our residents, but also the needs of the village as far as aesthetics and environmental needs go, that we look to the code to be a little bit, just to close up those loopholes there. So CAC is working on that. The Community Garden Committee, we have just produced a flyer that will be going out on social media. We could look to propose it for putting it on the website. We're going to be trying to send that to the management of different apartment complexes in Port, throughout Port. We are welcoming members is what the flyer is proposing. Please email me at trustee-casse@portjeff.com if you are interested in working on this committee. This committee is going to look into research, plan, and eventually look to implement a community garden, focusing on that raised bed vegetable garden where individuals or families rent different plots to grow their own food, organic local produce here in Port Jefferson, on Port Jefferson Parkland. So many residents have come forth and said that this is something they'd be very enthusiastic about. I've volunteered at these before when I lived in New York City, out here on Long Island, and I'm looking forward to working with residents, whether you're one of the usual supporters of Port Jefferson projects or this is your first time stepping up to volunteer and come on a committee. Please do send an email and look for that flyer for more information. And we really look forward to working with you on that. And finally, recycling sculptures update. I met with the fabricators of the sculpture. They sound like wonderful people to work with, and we set out a timeline there. And then I also met with our grant writer, who was wonderful to speak with, and set out a plan to really knock it out of the park in getting grants for those sculptures, so that we can look to 2021 for those interactive recycling sculptures and some programming around that, which the committee and I will be working on. And that's all.
Nicely done, Rebecca. Okay, I'm going to move on to Attorney Egan. And by the way, with any of the code changes, hopefully the committee or the planning department is obviously doing that in full cooperation with our attorney, who we rely on for our guidance.
Yes, of course. I think they're discussing and then drafting, and then
they'll pass to Brian.
Yeah, passing on to Brian.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brian.
Yep. Okay. No problem. No problem. Happy to help Trustee Cassay. Anyway, she's moving these initiatives forward. Thank you for good ideas. I'm always happy to help them percolate up. No, Mayor, I have no further report tonight besides those two IMAs. Thank you.
Brian, any word from the town of Huntington?
So I know that LIPA is just trying to schedule an update with the town of Brookhaven. We'll be following shortly behind them. Again, I hope that I'll have something before the end of the year. Huntington's details have not been released either. I'm sure there would have been cover of Newsday if we'd gotten it, but they're also holding that very close to the vest. But
Okay.
I did send out an email this afternoon to LIPA's council, trying to get a status. And as soon as I hear, Mayor, you'll hear.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Mr. Palumbo, our village administrator, anything to report?
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted, a lot of the items that I had on my list were already discussed. Just a couple of notes here, though. On the LED conversion project, we have regular and routine progress meetings with all the parties involved. And at the last one, they had indicated that they were more than halfway through the conversion on the streetlight portion of this project. So I think they are ahead of schedule here, and it should take another few weeks for them to complete the streetlight portion of this project. We also received some good news today with a change order. Most of the change orders that we receive are not for credits. They are actually for additional expenses, but we received, I think it was close to $26,000 credit on this project, which I think is good news. And we can certainly use that money going forward, especially in this economic climate. Tomorrow, myself, Denise, Steve Gallagher, and I believe Paul Pensky will be on a call with FEMA to discuss the possible reimbursement of expenses related to the last tropical storm. I know Denise and Steve and others have put together documents that we need to submit to the FEMA portal. We will get those up there after the meeting tomorrow with them. Obviously, any expenses that we can get reimbursed for, we did incur some pretty significant numbers for this last tropical storm. So anything that FEMA may be able to provide us in terms of reimbursement would certainly be helpful for our budget this year. And the last thing I have to report is that we finally received our new code vehicles. Those were months delayed. Fred, I'm not sure if they are in motion yet. I know Steve was working on getting them registered, but I did see pictures of them. They look great. Hopefully they are going to work out great for you. For those of you who don't know, these are the first vehicles as part of our fleet management program with Enterprise. We're hoping that every one of our vehicles going forward will now be made part of this fleet management program, which will basically turn over our fleet every 3 to 4 years for newer vehicles, which will ultimately cut down on the prices for these vehicles as well as maintenance. So Fred, hopefully these things work out and this program works out as well.
And they're not rolling yet, but we're working on it. They should be
Okay.
out next week. We have them
Great.
in the yard and we're doing all the work.
Great. Thanks, Fred.
Yeah.
So just for the public's, Joe, just to interrupt you for 1 minute, these were ordered as part of last year's budget to replace vehicles that we've lost and based on normal wear and tear. The Code Bureau has been down a few vehicles. The village has been sharing vehicles. So this is in the budget, and they're 8 months overdue. So we're very
Correct.
glad to see them finally. Okay, Joe, sorry. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow morning on Zoom again. Denise, our treasurer.
I just want to let everybody know, I got the financials from our auditors today, so I'll get those out to everybody. And also I just wanted to thank my staff and all. We got the management letter, which is recommendations from the auditors of things that need to be changed or to look into. And this year we got no comments. So I just want to thank them and thank everybody for their help.
Wow, that's fantastic,
Yeah.
Denise. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a lot. That says a lot about your management upstairs and the work we've done together. And I'm very proud of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's good to hear some good news.
Yes.
And that leaves us to my favorite, Clerk Sakovich. Flash, how are you tonight?
Hi, Margot. I'm good. Thank you. Just with the holidays approaching, just remind everyone that all village offices will be closed on Christmas Eve, half a day, and Christmas Day. Same with New Year's Eve, half a day, and New Year's Day. And that brings us to our next meeting, which will be January 4th, 2021. That's
Yes, unless we have to convene for, but we'll let the public know, but hopefully you guys have done such a great job this year. It's the week of the holiday, so what better to do than give you a Monday afternoon with no meeting. Okay, so with that, I think we do have some participants. And I think I missed one for comment earlier, so I apologize. There's a little trick you guys have to do. You have to put your hand up. I think I see Barbara Ransom is in the room. Teresa, can we have Barbara enter or make us? I think we can only hear her. I don't think she's on video.
I'm gonna promote her, and if she wants to turn on her video, she can.
Okay, thank you.
So she's coming into the room now.
Okay.
And I will prompt her to unmute as well.
I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
We can.
Great. Yes, I don't have a camera on my desktop, and I'd have to go to the laptop, and it's way too small. So thank you for inviting me in this evening. I just want to kind of give you some updates with the Chamber of Commerce. First of all, I want to thank our Parks and Recreation. The village, as you said earlier, Margot, looks fabulous. The evergreens, the white lights, the snowflakes, et cetera, really are adding a festive atmosphere to our village. And it's so important during this particular holiday season with COVID going on. So thanks to Parks and Recreation for doing a really super job. And on that note, I was able to get the Dickens cutout, which is in front of the old Village Way, repainted. Again, thanks for Jennifer Hannaford, and Trustee Cassay was involved a bit, and we all kind of worked together. And I reached out to Jennifer and also her, the other muralist we have, Linda, and it happened in less than 24 hours. So again, it looks nice. It needed to be polished up a little bit. It was getting kind of old. I think that has to be at least 10 years old, Margot.
Yep.
Of course, I spoke to Pat Darling, and she filled me in and all the background on that, but it's up and ready to go. Of course, this past Saturday with the nor'easter coming in, we did not have the No Touch of Santa, but we did bring No Touch of Santa. We did Santa into the village center very quietly, and of course, we didn't have the greatest turnout for the Cookie Land, but very logistically, it worked out nicely. We did get 8 kids that showed up that had prepaid through Eventbrite. And I'm just hoping that this coming Saturday, we'll be more successful. I know the weather on the weekend is supposed to be better. And we asked our local bakery to prepare these cookie kits. I know Barb Isakovich was there. Thank you, Barb, for helping out. But the cookie kits were just adorable. Right, Barb? Don't you think?
They were adorable and delicious.
Did you have one already?
Yes.
He's a big kid after all.
Yeah. So that worked out nicely. The festival trees, as you also mentioned, this year we did get 20 trees, beautifully all decorated. I have to give kudos to Sue, the village center. She did a wonderful job printing up the signs. She personalizes them all too, so it just adds a little more of a custom look to each tree. But they're all running up well, so thanks for that.
Honestly, I was down at Village Center this past weekend, and I toured the second floor. And those trees are beautiful. They're so, the giving tree from the elementary school, I don't want to give it away, but you have to go down. Just, it's something to do. Go to the second floor of Village Center. We're making sure there's only a few people allowed at a certain time. You must wear your face mask. But the trees are fantastic. So if please just come down and visit Village Center, see the kids skating. It's really a good pick-me-up.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Last year we had 23. I probably could have gotten more, but I stopped at 20. Just wanted to space them out a little bit more because of COVID compliance. And so everything seems to be working well there. The other thing that, if all goes well, this will be probably the last weekend where we might get temperatures to 60 and 55 if we look at the projected weather. If that stays true, as I watch this all week, we're going to be able to move forward with the turtle mural. You know about that?
Oh.
Yes. That's with Simply Good and
good.
And it's the theme is, and Rebecca, you will like this. I know you will. It's big sea turtles. It's a big mother sea turtle and little baby sea turtles following her. And the verbiage, I think, is something like recycle, repurpose, read. And so, yes, I see you at the heart. You can't see me, but I see you do that. So P.S. We got owner permission. We had them sign an agreement. You know, it's all about process. So if we don't move forward on this weekend, this will have to be pushed off until spring, because the probability of us getting 2 fairly warm days together is not looking good. And for the paint to adhere to the actual brick, they need 55 degrees. So
Okay.
let's cross our fingers and eyeballs on that one. I know there's talking about a little bit of rain, but we'll see. Just again, to reiterate, we have been following our very good chamber director, James from the Port Jefferson Lobster House. As we all know, he has put a tremendous amount of effort into this transferring of businesses. I have been going in there almost once a week, and he's done a beautiful job, tastefully done. He got his approvals from the fire inspector with help from the village, as well as then he passed the next day the Board of Health. So as Margot had mentioned, he's ready to lock and load. Doors will be opening on Wednesday for a soft opening. I know all his food product has been ordered, and I know it's such a weight off of his back at this point. And the smart thing that he did, and other businesses in the past have not done it, but he put a main entrance through the main street, where in the past there wasn't one. Such a ridiculous. So yes, so you have entrance from Main Street, and now he has better signage up there. So it's all looking good, and we all are going to go in there and wish him the very best. So that's moving along. A few things really quick on business. Mayor, maybe off virtual, but let the other trustees know. The SLA has been hammering again, and I put a call into the town of Brookhaven today to speak to Jim Tulo and some other people over there that I'm familiar with. It is downright aggressive. And I know there was a letter sent out at one point. I don't know if we need to do this again, but I know not firsthand, but secondhand, that they're choosing communities like Port Jefferson, like Patchogue, because it is easy pickings. It is one restaurant after another. I don't want to hurt any legal people here, but I will give you just a short example. The gentleman that got fined did not have his certificate in a frame. He had it behind a piece of plexiglass, and they fined him for not having it in a frame. That's going a little, pushing the envelope too far. And I have other examples. I won't go on into it, but maybe we can sit down and talk about that further, because and you know, and tonight with Cuomo saying that the New York City is going to be not closing down indoor dining, and maybe suggesting 25%. We can't have that. And I know we're all working hard, but I did send out that rather be warned email. I know I copied you, Mayor, that there are eyes and ears out there watching our business community, and you should be compliant. And if you're really disrespecting and not following those rules, you should be called out on it. But I made the business community very much aware that please be COVID compliant via New York State Governor Cuomo. And the other last thing I wanted to mention is, and I did put this in a letter, but it was a while ago, Mayor, is that the outdoor dining was extraordinarily successful this season. We need to tweak code or guidelines a little better for the 21 season, but the Chamber of Commerce is very much in support of having continual outdoor dining next season, but we need to really look at that. I know this season was, let's just get them out there, let's get things going. I get it, but I'd like to be part of that committee with your permission, and bring in, of course, people from the Business Improvement District and other strong restaurateurs. So I think I've taken up too much of your time, Mayor, but thank you so much for allowing me to chat.
No. That's a good update, because yes, we know the SLA has been out, and we're, not happy that they're giving violations for little tiny things. They should be looking for the big picture and making sure people are safe and following those guidelines.
That's correct.
Not because the certificate is missing a frame. I totally agree with you, and I did hear from a few of the establishments to that note.
Or one person that where they were eating standing up and rather than sitting down.
Well,
yeah. Okay.
No comment. Barb, we are starting to work, looking forward already to the spring. Kathy Ann has her hand up. If Kathy Ann, you want to chime in on the outdoor dining, what we're working on already?
Yeah, we are getting together. We're working with Rich Harris and myself, Kevin Wood, the mayor, on expanding the outdoor dining, possibly using the parking spaces along the street to expand the dining more off the sidewalk, to open up the sidewalk a little better and in different ways, kind of like what you're seeing out in Greenport and some other villages, with some decorative barricades, and just making it more user-friendly for the outdoor dining. So infant stages, but we're working on it and hopefully have it ready to go when the weather gets better. So
I'd like to have input before it's ready to go. And so, so, you know, invite us in part of this, you know, doing, please.
Yeah, Barb, are you still on the coalition with all the other, the town of Brookhaven?
Well, I'm involved with the Suffolk County Alliance. I'm also with the task force for the town of Brookhaven as well.
Yeah, because I mean, you had sent us some of the stuff that Romaine and the town had put together. So you were sharing information with at the time that we were trying to get everybody open. So we'll definitely reach out to you and make sure, but we're in good hands already. We're looking forward to that. Of course, you know, looking to use portions of Main Street, get better use of our parking lot and the sidewalks, as Kathy Ann expressed, but that's definitely in the works. And during the cold winter months is the best time to get that planned so that we can pull the trigger as soon as the warm months come. They'll need the help again, I'm sure. So thank you for that. Let's see, do we have anybody else who was going to put their hand up? Let me look. We have 5 attendees. I see your names, but does, okay, Kathleen Riley has her hand up. Yep. So Teresa, can you invite Kathleen to join us, please?
Yes, I did. And Kathleen, if you'd like to turn on your camera and unmute your mic.
It's Kathleen Riley, 17 Leeward Lane. I just have 2 thank you comments, especially during this COVID time. And one of them goes to Chief Lute for the code enforcement, because they're always on a regular basis coming into the Highland condos and always watching the Highland Parkland. And I also want to thank the Parks Department and Karen Markson for the beauty they have provided all year long since January. It's been phenomenal, especially during this COVID time. It brings such a beautiful, peaceful, wonderful beauty that makes a big difference to people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you for recognizing them. Appreciate that. Happy holidays to you and stay safe, please.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. I could see some other names. You just have to find the little button to raise your hand. Mr. Croft, I think, did you have a comment earlier for Suffolk County that we can take and get back to you on?
Mayor, I believe that Mr. Croft made his comment, and I see that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, SCPD responded and said thank you for the information, Mr. Croft. So.
Oh, great. Okay, I apologize for that. Thank you, Rebecca. I don't see that chat. Is there a chat area or something?
Yeah, it's in the chat. I can invite him into the room if he'd like to speak, and I see somebody else just raise their hand as well.
Yeah, I see Mr.
Mark, if you.
Let's take Larry Henn first, and then we'll go back to Mark. Maybe he's
okay. Great.
If he's satisfied with his response from Suffolk, he can just let us know in that comment box. But let's invite Larry into the room, please.
Okay, I have.
Hello.
Hi, Larry. We can hear you. Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, good. I sent a note this morning to you and Stan and Brian McMillian about the 2021 proposed rates for the country club for next year. And I just wanted to read that little note. It's only 2 paragraphs.
Sure.
It says, I am writing to question the unreasonable proposed rate increases and rule changes recently advised for the 2021 season at PJCC. The average increase over the past 10 years to the cost structure for me as a weekday member has been 12% a year. This was high during an environment when the official stats for inflation have been running below 3%. However, the proposed increases for 2021 are outrageous. The basic dues, capital assessment, and food minimum, along with, and I don't understand this, along with the elimination of the senior discount, result in an increase of 15%. But the biggest addition to the cost will be the additional mandatory cart restriction days. The increased days when we have to take a cart instead of walking go from 9 Fridays in July and August. Again, this is just from a weekday point of view, from 9 Fridays to 28 Thursdays and Fridays. With the current cart fee of $23 a pop, the cost goes from $207 up to $644, which is an increase for me of $437. And if you were a full member who played on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the increase is actually $550. Therefore, my total effective cost will go up from $2,250 in 2020 up to just about $3,000 for 2021. That's a 33% increase, and that's outrageous, and I can't see how it's justifiable. Using the cart fees instead of increasing the dues does not fool the membership or make it more politically correct. An equally important factor is that you are reducing the members' opportunity to get good outdoor exercise by walking, especially during the ongoing pandemic, which is why the golf course has been so crowded this year. Everybody's looking for something to do outside. The membership in general has been talking about the revenue windfall that the pandemic surprisingly created. And we also have gained many new members this year. Therefore, I hope you'll reconsider these proposed cost increases and provide a reasonable justification for any increases that you do finalize, because the note they send out didn't provide any justifications. And when you look at that note overall, there was a negative punishing tone on the members, you know, doing away with the senior discounts, coming up with new regulations for making reservations, cutting out more walking days, making us ride, et cetera, and fees for no shows. I mean, we've had more play at this golf course this year than any year in history. So I just don't understand why we have a negative tone, and what are they going to do with all this extra money that they're looking for? 33% is outrageous.
So Larry, let me, Denise, in preparation for anticipating perhaps your participation this evening, I asked the treasurer if she could kindly report to us the last 3 fiscal years year-end balance statement for the country club. And, you know, to justify some of the proposed changes, they're coming at a recommendation from our CCMAC, from our budget process. I recall, I think it was last year, there was a recommendation to raise fees and we opposed it. And, you know, it put us, without COVID, you know, I agree with you. We've had a good re-invitation to people playing golf in general across, you know, across the United States, across the world. But Denise, can you read some of the budget numbers? So maybe shed some light. And I know at the CCMAC meetings, Denise provides a full financial report of expenditures and revenue year to date that is provided to the membership. So there's nothing that we're doing here that hasn't been discussed very thoroughly for the last 3 years. But Denise, what are those numbers? Do you have those?
Sure. Approximately every year we have a $120,000 deficit for the golf course. So we went from a deficit of 268,000 in 2018. 2019, we have $370,000 deficit. And right now, ending May 31st, 2020, we have a $491,000 deficit. So
wait, hold on a second, Denise. So is that a rolling number? That's a rolling number that you just gave us?
Yep.
So can you just give us the number at the end of the 18,
Right
the 17, 18, and 19 season?
Yeah, that's the ending numbers. That's the deficits.
Right, but I mean, I think that you're giving us a total. So we've had a rolling deficit that right now there's a deficit on the country club's balance sheet of over $400,000. But each year what happens is those bills still get paid, and it's the Village of Port Jefferson, the operating account that pays those bills for the country club. We can't keep doing that. You know, this has been now 3 years and it's bad. It's bad. That budget has to be a standalone budget that balances. Even with the projected programs and fee increases this year, that's going to balance the budget. Denise, can you tell us what has caused the rising costs for us, if you could?
Well, we have the medical benefits that have gone up approximately like 3% a year. The retirement, they kept it low, but now because of the COVID, with the investments that they've been made, we have to pay a higher amount for their retirement system. The bargaining agreement, the salaries this year, they went up 3%. And just, his fertilizer, the seeds, everything goes up each year.
You also had the introduction of minimum wage.
Yes.
And Obamacare, that we had to meet the rising cost of the Obamacare policy.
Yes.
So Larry, I think when we went from weekday, we introduced, I said, don't reduce golf, give them more golf. So we introduced the moderate, so the weekday members could then play weekdays after 3. We've been trying every year to try and create more revenue lines without having people reach into their pocket to pay increased membership fees. But, guest fees this year, because we lost all of our revenue for outings, I think what happened is they opened up the course to more guests. So yes, this year we're going to have more guests, but we lost all our revenue from our Monday outings. We've had no outings.
Yes,
So
but we've been told that the guest fees have far overcome the loss from the outings.
But that's just this year. That's just this year. So, and again, not every year is going to have a COVID impact. So this year, maybe we'll make budget. But again, I can't have 120,000 on average running deficit at this facility. And so one of the reasons why we made a change in management there is we're changing the software system. It's almost as if we had a bleeding ulcer, because people were playing and not paying. People were playing, taking tee times and not showing up. So we're trying to make it much more efficient, and that will translate into services. But we don't have an answer other than because we don't know what else to do. So
are you going to continue the specials on guest fees on Mondays and Thursdays next year?
That I have to defer to Stan on that. I don't know.
Well, we're definitely going to keep Thursday as a guest day. Moving forward, we don't know. We have a complete calendar filled with outings, but we don't know if these outings are going to take place. We don't know where we're going with COVID. Monday will not be a guest day if everything returns to normal. Right now, we have 21 outings on the book. Thursday will remain as a guest day.
Well, how many new members did we get this year?
88 brand new members, but that includes juniors as well.
So, and Stan, I just have to ask a question.
An increase in revenue.
Right, but how many members did not rejoin? So I ask this question all the time. Is that 88 over the top, or is that
no?
Right. So
we never know. On average, we lose between 40 and 50 members every year.
Correct. So, and that's since years ago. We always had a 10% turnover.
Correct. Right. So if we have a net increase of, let's say 30, 35 members, we're going to be happy.
I think that's what we have. It's only a net increase of maybe 30, 35 members. It's not the windfall that everybody keeps saying it is, because it's given us the ability perhaps this year to close out with a balanced budget for the first time. So we can't allow this. We promised our residents that this would be a standalone budget. If it can't make it for whatever reasons, so we have now more revenue coming in for the lessons that we're providing and the children's programs, getting more people introduced to the game. These are all things that we've been trying to do, but we can't seem to meet that battle of all the costs rising at the same time. So
yeah, but 33% in 1 year.
So I think there was also consideration. There was robust conversation, Larry, about whether or not to institute what is described in the industry as a walking fee. I think there was a mass turnout to say, don't charge a walking fee.
Well, what sort of walking fee were they talking about?
I can't, Stan, I don't recall. Was it?
I had heard something like $5.
Perhaps $5 to $8. I don't really know.
Well, if you use that now the 28 Thursdays and Fridays, for me as a weekday member, 28 Thursdays and Fridays is going to cost $644. I
Larry,
would play
Larry,
129 rounds at $5 a round, walking fee, to make up for that. I
Larry,
would have to play 129 rounds.
Larry, hold on. Let Stan comment to that, please.
yes. Under the new rules, you have, as a weekday member, 173 days that you can walk the golf course. Last year, you had 190 days that you could walk the golf course. That's only an increase of 17 days.
At $23 a day.
Well,
That's $450.
it's $246, correct? Or something like that?
No.
Well, it's
17. What's the math? 17 times 23? Is that what we're talking? $391.
17 times, yeah.
$391.
Yeah, well, it's actually a little more than 17, but just think of that. If they were talking about a $5 fee, and I'm looking at paying $644 for those cart days.
I don't know where you come up with $644.
So, but Larry, hold on. If we charge
28
$5,
times 23.
Larry, if we charged $5 every time you walked, 190 days, it's $950.
I'm talking about 129. You don't understand. 129 rounds in a year is outrageous to try and play that many times in a year.
129 rounds?
Yes. Ask Stan if he can play 129 times in a year.
Well, we have members who play more than that, but I cannot play that, obviously. You probably play 100 rounds.
No, this year I played 60. But anyway, it's an awful lot of rounds at $5, but $644. It's just, but the total between the dues and doing away with senior, why would they do away with the senior discount?
We have 161 seniors. That's
Yeah.
$16,000 in added revenue.
Well, you're going to have an awful lot of unhappy people, I'll tell you, because 33% is outrageous. I mean, when I was the manager in 2004, 2005, I proposed a 5% increase in dues, 5%. And they wanted to run me out of town on a rail. And like I say, for the past 10 years, it's been 12% a year. And now it's 33%. It's just boggles my mind that we can't meet the budget.
So Larry,
I'm only going to give you one set of numbers. In 2020, for a village resident, full-time golfer, paid $2,630. That includes the $375 assessment and a $315 minimum. This year, that member will pay $2,900 even.
And yeah, I know, but I'm talking about adding the cart fees. Because my total with the dues and the assessment and the minimum and $207 in cart fees this year in 2020 added up to $2,252. And next year, my dues, my assessment, my minimum, and $644 in cart fees adds up to $2,999, which is 30%. My effective cost is 33% higher.
Yeah, it's not fair to add in the minimum though, Larry, you know that.
Well, you're telling me I got to do it.
Well, you're getting something for that. That's contractual.
Yeah, but the argument was I'm getting something for the cart fees too, but I'm getting something I don't want. I don't want to ride a cart. Anyway, I'll let you go, but I think you're going to have a lot of unhappy people. It's an awful large increase, and there's a lot of people talking about it. And a lot of people are talking about losing the exercise, telling me we got to ride. Last year and the year before, I would pay on Fridays and then walk. That's what I was doing, paying and then walking just to keep getting the exercise. But so it's all about the money, I guess. But I will let you go. Thanks for hearing me out.
So Larry, you still have an opportunity to attend the CCMAC meeting where, you can, those people, I think this was a unanimous recommendation to us. It's not like it came out of the sky. So I mean, you can speak to those people as well. And see how they feel about it. I mean, we don't just make these numbers up like out of the blue. So I appreciate your input. I really do, because I know how much everybody enjoys golf and enjoys this course, and that you've been really good to the course, and you've been a great friend of the golf course and the village. We just cannot have, it's unsustainable for us and bad for us to have a budget that just is not making it year after year after year. I have a $436,000 deficit on the books. We have to get rid of it. Bruce Miller, did you want to make a comment, please?
Margot, I have to add one. Could I
Sure.
add one?
Of
Couple more
course.
that Larry should really know. He was in the position, he knows. We've totally depleted our capital fund. We have no contingency funds right now. God forbid if a well blows up, we have nothing to reach back for. Our maintenance staff has been cut to the point where we're having difficulty maintaining our golf course at the present time. These funds, we need the revenue.
And just to add, the village of Port Jefferson has taken money in the years past from our capital reserve and lent it to the country club. We built the turn, we helped build the turn, we helped create the all-purpose room. We helped with the well broke. I mean, otherwise there has to be an entire change as to how this is being funded and merge the accounts. But I think, the people who don't play golf shouldn't bear that burden. That's
I agree.
Should be the
I
general
agree.
feeling.
I agree. But now, Stan, tell me, in addition to cutting out making up the deficit, paying back the deficit, are you also talking about, am I hearing that you're talking about building up a reserve?
Well, you need to have, yes, you need a reserve fund. You know that. We need a contingency fund for emergencies. We have nothing right now. If like I said, if that well blew up, we would be turning to the village for help.
Right. Okay.
Um,
And
so-
how much of a reserve fund do you think these new revenues are going to give you?
Well, if you remember, at one time we had almost $1 million in reserves. I think right now we have about 30,000 left.
So, but I think, is there, Stan, I think more to the point Larry's asking, I know we have a line in the budget, Larry, to pay back the two bonds that are still, having to be paid back. But Stan, is there a line in the budget? Have you added to that reserve line additional monies? Is that also part of this increase to build a reserve fund? I think, Larry, that's your question, correct?
No, yes,
Correct.
it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. We added it last year also, but we spent it.
Okay.
Okay.
We never got it.
What's your
Right.
target?
30,000.
No. What's your target?
30,000, I think he just said.
Yeah, 30,000.
Okay. So you're going to pay off the $430 some odd thousand dollars that we owe the village and
No,
build
no.
just
No,
30,000?
So Larry, that's a rolling deficit that's on the books, but it's there because every year for the last, I think since the end of 2017, the country club has come up at minimally $120,000 short. And so
Okay.
when those bills have to get paid, the village operating budget has paid it. So
Right.
we're not looking for the money back, but we just can't keep fixing this budget gap. That it's inappropriate to do. So that's what's on the books. The village of Port Jefferson is not asking to be paid back. We are asking to be paid back some money that we lent because we need the money now too. But it's not that, we just have to make sure that the budget is a true budget that is not, that the expenditures are not exceeding the revenue. And the tricky part, as is not knowing what your membership is going to look like again. And this year, we didn't have members joining till the end of April almost because nobody was enlisting because of COVID. A lot of people are staying down in Florida. They weren't coming back. So, then everybody started joining and it looks good, but we don't know if that's going to be the case next year. So it's kind of a bit of a moving target.
I understand, but with COVID in mind, it seems funny that we came up with more penalties. It's $100 if you don't join by February 1 and it's $200 if you don't join by March 1. So we're going to punish people.
Larry,
that might
those, if you look historically, those have been there last year with the way the bills got posted, that failed to be put in. And that's why a lot of people didn't join on time. So we were like, listen, we need that money to be in at a certain time because it's impossible for us to budget. So it was reinstated this year. So that was an oversight, and we can show you historically that has been part of the membership package, except for last year.
Yeah, just some additional, the country club budget year, you know what the budget year is, Larry? We go from
Yes,
June.
yeah, I do.
Okay, we start budget preparation in March. We had to submit our budget April 1st to the village board.
I understand. Yeah, I know.
If we
that
had
used to drive me
any,
crazy.
if we had any idea back in early March when that budget was prepared, maybe some of these things would be different.
Yep. Yep. All right. It just seems to be if with all these revenue increases and the potential for new members to only thinking that we're going to get just $30,000 reserve, I think it's going to wind up being bigger than that. But
I hope
No. It's not just to accomplish $130,000 reserve. It's to fill $120,000 budget hole. So it's really looking at a gap of $150,000. That's what these numbers are about.
right.
So,
well,
you know,
even just 30 new members fills your $120,000 budget gap.
how many?
You said you're going to get a net of 30 or 40 new members.
No. That's the net increase of members this year because we had a fall off of membership, and everybody thinks we have like 88 new members. We don't
No,
have
I
88
understand.
new members. Yeah.
There's 10% turnover every year. So
Right.
if you got 88 new ones and you lose 40, maybe you'll have 30, 40 new members. That's a good chunk of change. That makes up for your $120,000.
Only
Right,
if,
and that-
only if they were non-resident.
Huh.
So
Anyway, all right.
I want to say one more thing because for years I have been trying to get the non-resident rate to be reduced so we wouldn't have to increase our resident rate. But it's just too much of a risk because traditionally you don't have as many non-residents join as we have residents. So listen, Larry, it's a tough call. I understand it. I welcome you to come to the CCMAC meeting, speak to the group there. And look at the numbers. So you're welcome to open the books and look at the numbers because everybody's like, where's the money? We could very quickly show you where the money is. It's costs are rising. And I think Brian is doing a fantastic job he's got 6 crew members now. He's doing an unbelievable job with what he has. You would never see any place else be managed with the way Brian's managing this club right now and the condition of the course. So I feel your pain. I do. And I
All
want to
right.
thank you for coming on board.
All right.
And
Thank
listen-
you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Larry.
All right. Do we have anybody else? Do I see a hand raised in the group?
Margot, there are no hands raised, but Chief Lute just had asked a question in addition to what you guys were just discussing. It's in
Chief
the
Lute?
comments. Yes.
How do I read the comments?
You have to click the chat button. Otherwise I could read it for you.
It's from Chief Lute. Go ahead. You can read it.
Yes. He just asked how many of the new members are juniors paying less.
Oh, I don't have those specifics. Stan, do you have the specifics?
I don't have that breakdown either.
Yeah, it's everything, just a new member doesn't mean it's a $5,000 member. It could be a junior member paying, 100, I don't even know what they pay, $150 or something. Anybody else? I have 4 attendees. Any hands going to be raised there? I think we've heard from Kathleen. We've heard from Barbara. I don't know who the phone number is. Don Pollock Sr., nothing to say this evening? If not, I don't want to rush you out. If not, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday and thank the
Sorry,
Board of
Margot,
Trustees.
Don just raised his hand.
Okay, invite him into the room, please.
I have invited him. Just give him 1 minute.
Can you hear me now?
We can, but you sound like you're on that spaceship, Don.
How am I now?
Better.
Good, I came back to Earth. Okay. I would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a happy and safe and healthy New Year. And
Thank you, Don.
We could all look forward to something.
Thank you so much, Don.
Thank you, Don.
You're very
Same to
welcome.
you and
Have a good
yours.
night. Have a good night.
You
Thanks,
too.
Don. Appreciate it. Everybody else, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you to the board for your hard work. Thank you to our top staff here. Thanks for your hard work, guys. And Denise, thanks for good report card. Joe, we're going to see you soon. Hope you feel better. And Barb, thanks for holding down the fort.
Thank
Brian,
you.
everybody, Lorraine, thanks a lot.
Good night, everyone.
Good night,
Night,
everyone.
all.
Night.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
Here's
Happy
to
holidays.
Chief Luke.
Well,